Saints fans. Another week, we can't really fault the effort, but the execution, unfortunately, is still lacking. We are currently our own worst enemy. A game we should have won, we didn't. But before we get into that, we've got a laid in, another new addition to the podcast, someone I'm very excited to join, Woody.
Cheers, guys.
How are you, mate?
Hey,
Welcome, mate.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, very excited. Keen to get into it.
For sure. You might also recognise Woody from the Moorabbin metrics videos every week, so good to have you on, mate.
Cheers.
Jakey, how are we?
Yeah, good. It feels like we're doing what the Saints are doing and bringing in the kids, rotating the youth through the VFL and seeing how they go. But
sure.
yeah, good to have you on board, mate.
Just don't sub me out halfway through.
We'll see how you're going.
Could you imagine? just go.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Sorry, guys.
No, yeah, it's good to be here. I'm in pretty good spirits, to be honest. I really enjoyed the game on the weekend. I thought third week in a row, yeah, like you said, effort was great. Execution, not quite, but that can be fixed. We've seen other teams struggle with effort, and that can only get you so far. So I think we're building, and there's plenty of highlights. Every week we're talking about a different youngster, Naz, Hall, Taru, and that sort of thing. So plenty to hang our hats on.
Well, yeah, like obviously the result very disappointing, but you just look at the coaches' votes today. Naz a perfect 10, 5 from each coach, and Maxi Hall 8, 4 from each coach. So even Sam Mitchell thought that we had the two best players on the ground, and they're both young, exciting players. So hard not to be up and about that, especially when Taru is flying at the ball and taking amazing marks.
Yeah.
Him and Max Hall again just dominating the headlines, at least within St Kilda's world. So what do you guys think of those guys backing up their strong performances?
I mean, Max has been going strength to strength. I gave him best on last week, and I think he got the
Back to back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's amazing. Taru's, game 2? He's already trying to clunk the spoils from last week. So, I mean, just love it all.
He even did a double-fisted spoil.
Did he?
This week he did. I saw one of those. Didn't mind that.
Far out.
He'll start marking them soon. But
And even that tackle that he laid early in the game, bone crunching. So he's got the finesse and the physicality about him. So he's got both sides covered there, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about the game in itself a bit, because one that I think when we were at the game together, and I just kept thinking to myself, we are just our own worst enemy. Some of the mistakes we're making, Angus Hasty had a really nice second half, but his first couple of touches were very iffy. Maybe a bit rushed, a bit nervous coming back into the senior side. Don't know what that was about, but I'm glad that he did sort of come back and make up for that a little bit.
Yep.
But then, just our forward line struggling to function. I think a lot of people point towards, the delivery wasn't quite there, which to an extent I agree with that, but at the same time, it's some marking contests, just so easily bodied. And that's not one particular player. That's pretty much all 6 or 7 of them. Henry, Butler, Higgins, Keeler, Sharman, Owens. Just did one of them play well? Not really. So we need a bit more from them. I know King's out, but how can we fix this problem? Because it's been an issue all year, but I think this was the game to me that it stood out the most.
It's funny. I feel like when the midfield was struggling, our forwards were capitalising on the very limited supply they were getting, and now they're getting more supply because our mids are actually doing the work the last 3 weeks, and they're not taking their chances.
Yeah, it's not converting. No, I remember at the start of the year I was very boisterous about what our boys could do going forward. And yeah, I don't know. It feels like there needs to be a bit of change. I don't know if that's just giving opportunities to maybe Collard, somebody in the 2s again, or maybe just switching it up positionally with some of the guys that are in the 22. So yeah, it's frustrating, but hopefully we see a turnaround with those more opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to see Jack Higgins get that All-Australian blazer, but to be honest, the last 5 weeks he just hasn't really done much, so it's going to be interesting to see how that one falls. But someone that is certainly going to be getting an All-Australian blazer in Nasiah Wangani-Malira. 43 touches is just absurd. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway from this game was that, okay, and what Ross said in the press conference is, all right, have a look at this kid. The long-term plan is we want him to be a triple threat almost, forward, mid, back, which is pretty much what Ross said. And we really started to see on the weekend him developing that midfield role and playing well in the midfield, which has been a discussion we've had on this pod. And we've disagreed on it here and there, but I think we'd all probably be in agreement that it looks like that's where we're going to need him in the future.
I mean, Sam Mitchell was very complimentary. in his press conference, which is really good to see. And think about it, when was the last time an opposition coach of his caliber, in, you know, they're potentially a top 4 team, has come out and said, we tried everything and we couldn't stop this player? When was the last time a player for St Kilda was that good that a coach said he was unstoppable and we tried everything and I'm going to have nightmares about him?
I mean,
You know?
I feel like I've got to think back to like the
It would have to be the grand final days.
those sort of things.
Yeah.
No, he was amazing, and that sort of change up in the last quarter as well to go into the midfield. 6 centre bounce attendances, 2 centre clearances, which, you know, if maintained would kind of be our best centre clearance mid, which for somebody of Naz's size is kind of not what I think many would have expected going into the year. And look, hopefully it continues in some regards, but yeah, you wouldn't want it to be at the loss of some of the things he does down back.
But I think the luxury we have right now is that Sinclair plays that position so well, and I think he was on Triple M during the week and saying that his role is he's almost taken a step back because Naz, we've supplied him with so much more footy, which meant it's taken away from his game a little bit. So while Sinclair's still around, I think, let's throw him in the midfield. I know it's a small sample size, but honestly, I'm pretty sold on what we saw. It's the best I've seen him in that position. And also, Ross himself has said that Naz has come to him and asked to play more midfield time. So if that's what he needs to, potentially sign a contract sometime soon, then absolutely, let's try it out in these last 7-8 games.
And that's why you see players like Hasty come in. You need another halfback. You need to keep that. You don't want to lose that bounce off halfback. So to have Hasty pick up that form in the second half is really important. If he had maintained that first quarter, his position in the team probably is in threat. But I think that adds that little bit of luxury for us to move Naz back and forward, like you said.
Yep. Any more thoughts, Woody?
Look, I mean, there was a lot to like. I think Naz, possibly, I'd like to see him stay back a little bit. I still think we need a lot of ball movement, and look, we get lost in the midfield on transition a lot. It'd be good to have Naz that little bit further forward to get us that bit further forward. But yeah, again, I wouldn't want that at the loss of getting it to that midfield point as well.
Yeah, for sure. I want to bring up the stat you were discussing with us just before the show about our time and possession, and I won't try and explain. I'll just hand it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit interesting. So we haven't done great when I mean, the correlation between time and possession and us winning is pretty high. I think it's above 85% now, but it's also kind of how we use the ball. So we've over the last few weeks gotten more disposals. We've more possession, both contested and uncontested. In some regards, more tackles this week by a fair bit. The main sort of ball maintenance stat in holding the footy that we haven't been on top of has been marks. But when you've got all those sort of things that indicate that you've got a lot of the ball, to consistently be sort of 6+% behind in time and possession suggests we might be moving the ball a little bit too quickly. And my thoughts kind of go to the transition that we mentioned a second ago from half back to half forward. I think once we break away from the contest, we often go to the next contest very quickly, which is, say that 40-metre kick down the line, when we often have those sort of handball chain options available, but don't take them. So it would be slower. We'd get more time in possession, but I think it opens a bit in forcing the opposition to come meet us in our run or run back further to goal, because clearly the line needs to push back if we're going to be able to kick over it.
Yeah.
I mean, on the flip side, I can see why we would want to move it fast, because we don't want the teams to settle behind us because we are so undersized. So the best chance we can get is get it in there quickly. There's more one-on-ones. Players should be leading up at the ball, more space. Theoretically, that's what... Obviously, it's not always going to come off, but I can imagine when King's back and maybe when we've got another tour, whether it's a resting ruck or not, you can go a little slower because you can... at least break even down the contest down the line. You might get a boundary throw and you might get a contested mark. But right now, we're not getting that. You know what I mean? So there's probably reluctance in slowing down to the point where Battle, Barris, Sicily can all set up. And then what are you got to do? Go down the line and they're there and set up and there's an intercept mark. So you need to know when to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting there. I think we're getting to that point where I think we go slow enough out of the D50, but then we know how to go through the guts. Like, we went through the guts end to end a couple times and sliced through them.
Definitely.
And we just didn't take the chance. Like, Naz taking the piss and missing a couple, but from end to end, we had no problem hitting those targets, like Clark dinking it in the middle and giving the hands to Windy and getting it in the 50.
The first option we took, I mean, Naz had it on the wing, went inside to Max Hall. Max hands it off to Sinclair, who takes the shot from 50, misses. But
we got it there easy.
We've done a fair bit of progression in that front. I think where it really breaks down is when we go from a contest that we've broken away from in defensive half and then go to that next contest. If we can stick away from going long to a contest, there is obviously a bit better options because we're not great. We had one contested mark at halftime by Taru in the forward 50. So, I think if we can stick away from that without engaging the spare man in defence for the opposition, there's potential there. And I think you even mentioned something about just kicking it on the ground a bit more.
When I think ball movement, I think
chaos ball.
Well, from full back to half forward, our ball movement is pretty good for the most part. At least to the naked eye, that's how I feel watching us. It's just that kick inside 50 that, whether it's the midfielder's fault, the forward fault, I think it's a mixture of both. On the weekend, it definitely led more toward the forwards, but it feels like when the ball goes up in the air and there's a contest to be won in the air, that is. Do you ever really, when the ball's in the air, you guys ever thinking, oh yeah, we're a chance that someone's clunking this? Like, because for me, I just rarely confident, especially with King out of the side. So I'm like, yeah, honestly, I know they're never going to do this, but the state of our forward line is that I would be more confident about kicking a goal if someone just dribbled the ball into the forward 50 and let us win it on the ground.
I mean, if you think Windy made me nearly pull my hair out by doing that, but then he followed it up and snapped the goal. So I mean. Maybe it is the way to go.
Our, I don't know what the end stat was at the end of the game, but our ground ball gets differential was significant.
We won by over 40.
There you go. So, like, we're winning the ground ball.
Yeah.
If you're dominating the ground ball, you get it on the ground more.
When the ball's in the air and you've got a toll there, King, if he's not going to mark it, the ball will come to ground at least.
Yep.
Keeler, Sharman, Owens, they're either getting outbodied or outmarched. Something's happening. The ball won't even come to ground. When it does, though, you've got Higgins, Butler, Henry. They're all there ready to go. But this year just hasn't been able to. We haven't got to see that really at all because the ball's just never coming to ground. So, there's a lot of issues in that forward line. Some of it is personnel based. Hopefully, we can fill that need in the preseason. But that definitely stood out on the weekend. What else do you guys want to discuss from the game?
I thought our midfield overall, like we've done many pods, and I talked about it this morning on Saints TV Weekly, but we've criticised them all year. When we lose, it's always we lost it in the middle, or when we talk about how to win a game, we've got to win it in the middle. I have to say they've really lifted the last 3 weeks. I think Steele's improved. McRae had a good game, but some of his dump kicks pissed me off a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Yep.
He got into a bit of a just a lazy habit of just not.
Just
even
when he
looking
doesn't need to.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the only option, but sometimes
he's probably playing the percentages at the time. No doubt he's assessing. Or maybe I don't give the hands. I'll just go down the line. But when like we just talked about, there's no one down the line. We don't have a player in the team that can outbody an opponent. We don't have anyone that would be stronger than their opponent on their day. Do we?
I mean,
not really.
Mitchie, I think, is our best offensive 1v1 from memory.
For his size.
But because he is either the first or second sort of, he gets the best or second best defender, he's kind of not even given the chance.
No.
You know what I mean? Because he's not a player that should be playing on that sort of caliber of a defender. Whereas because we don't have anyone else for them to go to, they're just going to go to him and shut him down.
Yeah. But the mids I thought were really good. I think they've been good for the last 3 weeks since the Doggies game. So I feel like a penny's dropped there a little bit. The rotations, I think Hunter Clark had more game time, which was nice to see, and he went off halfback a little bit. Steele, McRae, Maxi Hall's been around the ball a bit more, which has been excellent because he's super damaging.
Certainly.
I want to coin the nickname Max Damage. Maximum damage.
I like that, yeah.
So maybe that's some merch there. No one else make it, or I'll be pissed off, I'll tell you that much. And who else is in there? Who else played through the guts?
Clark, Garcia.
Garcia, sorry. Yeah,
Windy.
His last 2 weeks, Garcia, since he's been back.
Yep.
Another example of a player going to VFL. We want him back. When players go to VFL, something happens.
Yep.
And they've all improved. The only one that I'm still a little worried about his Darcy Wilson. Just a little bit. Just a little. It's like he's second guessing himself. He's got so much talent. I know it's is it second or third year blues? Second year blues. Yeah, so I know that could be a thing. Yeah. But I just feel like if he gets going in the back end of this season, along with these other youngsters, I think that's a massive, especially because our game is so driven on run and wing play, and with Brad Hill being the sub, I just feel like there's more emphasis on someone like him to lift. And even Mason Wood not really pushing up to the wing. He was kind of playing forward a bit. I felt like we've lost a little bit on the wings.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, it was one thing I thought at the start of the year would be a consistent strength.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure that it's kind of panned out that way. Mason obviously had some injuries last year, had some injuries early this year. Some people haven't thought Brad's been doing as well. Yeah, he's probably down a little bit. Darcy does feel like he's got some sort of second year blues or just not quite giving us what we'd expect from his first year. I think there's a bit of issues there across the board. I mean, personally, I'd like to see things changed. I mean, we've mentioned the kids a fair bit, and we have seen them, but I mean, I'm a huge fan of the idea of getting Ari into the wing role. I feel like he could play a very similar role to Mason, but he's got 20, 30 metres extra on his leg. And we've talked about needing to get it deeper. I mean, if we can get it over that defensive line, get somebody running into it, it'd be great.
He kicked 3 goals playing mid/wing in the VFL. That's pretty impressive.
The week gone.
Maybe 2 weeks ago.
He only had 11,
yeah.
I think, on yesterday's game.
Not this most recent game, but he's playing that role at VFL, so there could be something to that for sure. What do we think of Brad Hill being the sub? Because we talked about it last week.
I called it. I called it.
I was not shocked that he was in the side, but I was shocked that he was the sub. It felt like he was either in or out. But
I just looked at the team that we picked, and there was no one there that could have been the sub. The only one could have been maybe Dan Butler, but it was game 150. That was never going to happen. Yeah. Hasty was always going to play half back for Naz or Sinks to play through the guts more. And Stocker was in until the last minute, and then he didn't train, and then Jimmy came in, and then he got injured. So I just couldn't see, like, Wilson was never going to be the sub. Toby was dropped.
Yep.
So he would have been the sub, I dare say, if he had played. But I think maybe that's why we didn't play Toby, because Hill was going to be the sub.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I just feel like there was no one else that could have been.
Yeah.
And I think it was the right call, to be honest. I fully agree with that.
Yeah. No,
I didn't want him to get just red carpet out straight back into the lineup for no reason. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, for sure. I think that was perfect. Like, it's one of those things. Okay, you were sick, fair enough, but in the week you were out, someone came in and
we played
your role
well the week before.
Yeah.
So
it's just unlucky.
I just like that it creates that fight. I know that Wilson is going to be the future beyond Brad Hill in the next year or two, but it does add a bit of competition for Wilson to know that Hill was the sub, but he came on early anyway because
for sure. And
Jimmy's injury.
The same goes for players like Travalia or any other young player who's out of favour right now, and people think, but how have we got Jimmy Webster and Brad Hill and Mason Wood playing and all these great young kids at VFL? It's like, well, they're never going to learn if you just push them into AFL and let them play like shit every week and keep their spot essentially. So yeah, not that they've necessarily been terrible, but there just needs to be some sort of selection integrity, and I've been pretty pleased with the way it's gone this year so far, as someone that's watched it pretty closely. So should we get into Mosh Man of the Match?
Yes. We've talked about him briefly, but Max Hall
maximum
voted,
damage.
Maximum damage. I mean, yes, like 27 disposals, 3 goals. 3 goals, 1, I think.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken. So he could have kicked 4. Every possession he has is just
that point
on.
As well. That was a shot from outside 50 that dribbled into the post.
That's true.
Like, he could have had a very big match. I mean, it was his most disposals ever.
Most goals. Has he
most goals as well. I mean, he's on a heater. He's going week to week, getting a little bit better in each regard. And I mean, if he can just keep this up for the rest of the season, we'll have a very good player going forward.
I think these are the sorts of players that in 5 years' time, if we are contending, if we are doing really well, you're looking at not just the top 10 draft picks, but you're looking at those bargains that you get out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely one of those. Mid-season pick from Box Hill.
For sure.
Playing against the Hawks,
maybe something in that, yeah.
There's midfield rotation time for him, but he's a high half forward. He could play as a forward pocket, but be the bigger type of forward pocket. Some people think he's a bit of a dusty about him. He's just very physical, but very clean and classy around the goal.
I don't want to compare him too much to Petrarca. I was going to say I'd compare the role to Petrarca. That's what I want him to do for us is sort of maybe 60 to 70% inside mid. I think he'd be really good in there, but then also has the ability to go forward, kick a few goals. And my favorite aspect of his game was that he backed it up from last week. He's got so much, credit in the bank to probably just stay in the side for the rest of the year and, be ordinary for the rest of the year. No one would really question it. But what did he do? He came out and played even better than last week. We were talking about it before the game. I was like, I'm not sure.
What did I say? I said he kicked 2.
You said he kicked 2.
Yeah.
So anyway, love that. And I mean, pretty stiff. Naz, 43 touches not to get the man of the match.
In the votes, I couldn't believe it was 55% in the end was for Hall. And then a bunch were for obviously Naz. And then there was a couple for just Taru's mark, just voting for that alone. Yeah. But it was a resounding win for him. Probably one of the more lopsided ones that I've counted, to be honest. And that's crazy considering Naz's game.
I think we maybe take Naz for granted a bit because I think we're kind of comparing, Max Hall, mid-season draft pick to come out of nowhere compared to Naz, first round pick. And there's so much hype around him already. So he is shocking the world, but probably not in the same way Maxi Hall is. So
and what I love about him is he plays every game. He's incredibly grateful to just get the chance because he knows he's tried. He's been in the system, trying to get into the system for a long time. Overlooked, obviously, and then we give him that chance. I think it was a pick 4 in the mid-season draft.
Yeah.
So he just plays every game is kind of his last, which I love about him.
He's quickly becoming one of our most important players going forward.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I mean, you mentioned Petrarca. I think of his old teammate Alex Neil-Bullen when I see him, and just kind of getting that fire up the ground that your opponent's got to chase you. They can't just let you go and rack it up and get it inside 50. So at that point, you're well out of position defensively. Suddenly, Max Hall's running back inside. I mean, we saw what he did from the half-back flank to going and getting a goal the other week. So, I mean, he's becoming very dangerous. And look, we find somebody to pair him up with. If Higo could find some form again, I mean, we're onto something.
Yeah, it's pretty lethal. Yeah. If you're dealing with hair loss, Mosh is here to help with clinically proven treatment starting at just $24 a month. You can regrow your hair 100% online. No clinics needed, plus you'll get discreet delivery and unlimited support. Use code SaintsTV50 for $50 off your first treatment plan. Join over 60,000 Aussies already seeing results. Visit getmosh.com.au to get started. Let's get into Jake's Junk Mail.
Let's do it.
Jake is Junk Mail. Jake is Junk Mail. Jake is Junk Mail. Jake is Junk Mail.
Let's get into it. I couldn't really hear the things. I was like, are we on?
Yeah. All right, let's get into this one. This one's from Anthony. Do you think the Saints will keep persisting with Moose? Marshall will have to be our biggest asset for accumulating picks in the trade period, but given this trade seems to be a very average draft, do we just keep Marshall and delist a few other rucks? I mean, a few other rucks. Yeah. You're not delisting Dodson, obviously.
Definitely not Dodson.
Heath, I just want to see one game.
I know, we've been saying
I just want to see one game before we make a call.
Yeah.
And then Boyd, it wouldn't surprise me.
26-year-old, I think, was the SSP selection.
So
it's
I don't know.
It's not kind of, the writing's on the wall, nothing against him, but that's sort of just the reality of how these things go, unfortunately, especially since we've got young rucks, already in the ranks and potentially getting TDK.
True, you forget the Keeler could play ruck eventually. You don't really know.
I think he's my pick for the second roll ruck.
Second roll ruck?
Yeah, I just think it's hard to run two proper rucks. I mean, we needed Marshall up forward back in the day, and I think he'd be kind of able to do that sort of dual position type.
Longshanks 23 is asking, how shattered were you guys when the Flying Viking couldn't put that set shot away for his first
my,
first AFL
we
goal.
were definitely shattered. And the guy next to me, Alan, had the Viking helmet on. He was ready to G up, but no, that was very disappointing. But it always happens every time someone takes a screamer. They never kick the set shot.
Yeah, I mean, well, was that in the second quarter? I can't think of
Yeah, it
the
was in-
exact circumstance.
It was in the
Was it-
second. It was like, I don't know, 10 minutes to go in the second.
Yeah,
The mark is still amazing. But
yeah.
great.
Still
Oh,
got me to make a nice reel, and his mum got on board, so it was
For
great. This is from Matt. Hey boys, I know this will get a few eyes rolling, but I'm going to say it. Max Hall, the past 2 games, has shown some proper Dusty-like moments from his hardness, goals from nowhere, and the way he's taking an opponent's to set up his teammates. We already want the ball in his hand every time. Also, Windy, still unsigned. Should we be worried about it? Unsure if that story on Nasai and Windy was real or BS. Do you know the story?
Oh, that they had a meeting and they weren't happy about something. But I
No,
mean,
they presented like St Kilda's, I suppose, the best 23, like the team. They obviously didn't show them your video.
Maybe
Could
they
you
need to watch
imagine?
it. I mean,
And that was the week that you're like, Windy out Boxall in. It's like,
I didn't even do
apparently
that, though.
that's the tale that they presented the team, and Windy wasn't in it, and Nav's got a bit annoyed. I can't believe that would be true.
no, I
that
can't
would
imagine.
that would be shocking to me if they genuinely presenting
Well,
that.
because, I mean, long term, Windy's like progressing more than pretty much any of our youngsters.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
also-
actually, we didn't even talk about him, but he had a fantastic game.
No,
as
for
well.
sure. But to talk about that story for a second, if they genuinely believed that, that's one thing. But for them to think it's a good idea to go to Naz and say, "Hey, your best mate that you're living with,
Yeah.
He's not in the team.
we don't rate him, so
Yeah.
but sign with us." So I highly, and that came from like some radio station in
Yeah.
Perth.
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty.
I'm pretty sure that's just BS.
It's
To
pretty
be honest,
unsubstantiated.
it sounds like like the last time we heard something from Perth, Naz was going to be signed
Yeah,
for 2
exactly.
weeks. So
It's true.
I don't know if we put much.
But I
weight
mean,
into
I
this.
think he's going to sign for 2 years, and that's exactly what they said.
yeah.
I
mean,
They're
I
not
do
wrong.
think.
They're not
I think
wrong.
I think he'll take like I've said this a bit. I think he'll take a long one. I feel
you
like
reckon?
I feel
What,
like
a
if people
sixer?
want to be traded these days, it gets done. So like you take like as much money as you can.
Yeah,
get.
but remember, for us, it's all about like salary cap in 5 years' time as well. So you don't want to give away that 6 years, because if he goes 2, then he stays, then you sort it out. But at least then we've kind of
But-
planned ahead with like the TDK.
But then
deal
if he does
and
the
that sort
long
of
term
thing.
contract, you can pretty much pay him like $2 million for the next couple of years when the cap's open, and then when
then
we need the room,
drop it down?
It comes right back down.
Yeah.
But to the first part of that question, my eyes definitely aren't rolling at the Dusty comparison. I love it.
No,
Why not?
yeah, he's got a hard edge about him, but he's got a bit of class.
Yeah, not the first time I've heard it either.
No, hopefully not.
True,
not the
yeah.
last. He looks like he's ready for the big stage. I reckon
sure. Yeah.
more MCG games and he'll love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Him in the finals would just be electric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go straight to the audios. There was a couple more there, but we've got like 10 or so. So we want to get through those, and it seems to be quite a fan favourite
Oh, for sure.
at the moment.
It's my favourite.
Hey,
It's my favourite.
I can't quite hear myself, which is good for once. I can hear you. All right, let's go through from top to bottom. Let's go with Zen. Zen famously was last week's voicemail with his dog.
Oh, okay. I'll be listening out.
Hey, Stevie, I'm sorry about the last voice note. My dogs were just bickering and arguing, like Tom Lynch pretty much in Kalamazoo the last time they faced.
Fair enough.
It was an honourable loss against Freo. We should have won, but that's just pretty much the story of our year, isn't it? We almost are there, or we just never rock up. In terms of the future, I think personally, with all the tall stocks we have, should we trade Rowan Marshall? Possibly 2 first-round picks, possibly, for him right now. But if we wait an extra few years with him and TDK, Heath, or Dodson, he won't have the same value. So should we shoot the bird early, or should we wait and see how
What's
we
that
go?
analogy?
Because surely we
Never heard
can
that.
try to rebuild while still staying relevant, like the 2008 Hawks. Because we don't want to, as much as the draft picks are useful, we don't want to fall down the ladder because fans won't rock up.
Okay.
Thanks TV. Sorry about last time, and go your Mighty Sabres.
Nah, love it. My favourite caller. But yeah, we're definitely not shooting anyone. But Rowan, I mean, my stance has just been the same. If you get value for him, then yes. But you got to go on the market and have a look what that value is.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to keep him for a year, but I mean, it kind of comes down to his decision making as well. Like in some regards, if he doesn't want to play second fiddle to somebody, then yeah, I mean, now is the best time to sell.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's up to him in some
But
regards too.
2 first rounders, that's like a NBA 2K trade. I don't think.
What
that's
if
happening.
we take him, Carlton get the compensation, which would be
And
say
then we
pick,
take the
and then we
love
give them
that.
row for the
I
compensation.
would love nothing more.
That's
So we get
40 chess.
we get TDK and TDK's combo pick for row.
I'd say they wouldn't do it, but that club is an absolute shambles. Maybe they would.
I'd take that just for the stories. I mean, it'd dominate the summer, and we'd just come out on top of one of the big clubs. It'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one is from Danny Moto. Danny.
G'day, Jake and Saints TV crew. Danny Moto checking in here. Long-time listener, first-time caller. My reflections on the game from last night is I think the only bright spot was Max Hall. Felt like he was just absolutely clean all night. A lot of upside in this kid. Everything else was pretty abysmal, especially when we started going up forward, even though we were playing most of the game on our terms. We're just, our new catchphrase is ambitious but rubbish at the moment. And hopefully we just start removing the rubbish from that catchphrase in the next couple of years. Wasn't expecting much, but wanted to see what your take would be on bleeding a few more young guns, why people like Max Heath haven't got a game yet, and if there's any more news on why Naz hasn't signed yet. Cheers.
Pretty pessimistic caller, but it's good. Balance it out.
Strong words there.
I'd say Max Hall the only bright spot, and Naz is wondering where his shout out is. But yeah, I don't know. I disagree. I think the forward line, like we've talked about, was very shaky to say the least. But I was pretty happy with the way the back line held up, the midfield held up. I thought there was a lot of good signs, and play the kids. We're playing a lot of kids. We still have a few older bodies in there, but I think for the most part, we're the people asking play the kids, like we're giving them what they want.
I'm trying to think who we could have kind of there's Heath, obviously. Maybe he would have done a bit more than Keeler.
But exactly. If you play Heath, Keeler comes out anyway. So
Yeah,
it's like,
I mean,
It's like for like.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think. The only other one I could think of that would be replacing an older head might have been like Liam O'Connell for Jimmy, but
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, true.
otherwise I'm not really sure who would come in without taking out a kid.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I agree. Like even Toby came out, Hill came back in. I guess
but
was the only thing.
You got to have the
that's a
integrity.
sub,
You need
like
to
you
balance
said.
it. And you need the sub anyway. And I don't want Toby to. I want Toby to either not be in the team and just getting games in
Agreed.
VFL,
Yeah.
or playing full minutes
Yeah.
in the first. So it's just about balance. And Naz, are you worried? You boys worried that he hasn't?
Not
At what
really.
point? What round does it get to? And you're like, shit.
What are we at now? 18?
Yeah.
Maybe by round 21.
Round 21.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even know if I'm gonna. I don't really worry that. Like
What
he's
if
a restricted free agent.
You wouldn't be worried it was the
No,
final.
he's
final,
not even. He's just out of contract.
final
Well,
game of
yeah,
the season.
So just as hard to trade. I mean, for me, it's like I don't think you can really get it done. Like Port don't have enough. I don't think Adelaide's really gonna do it, from what we hear. Like, I can't see it happening.
I just
He's
think
not gonna
right
go
now,
preseason.
Someone said, "Oh, maybe we're waiting for a win to just announce it."
potentially.
Yeah,
But I mean, even after the last 3 weeks, the Saints fans' mood has been pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I think
To be honest
okay
with you, I
announce it
just think they're
anytime.
nutting out the details.
Yeah.
I think it's done.
That's what I think.
Also,
I hope that doesn't come back to
it's
haunt me.
another week where he's like done career best numbers. He's been doing it all year. Like, how many times do you reckon he said, "All right, we're starting to think this number," and then come
then it
back 2
goes
weeks
up.
later and
Yeah.
it's higher. So
I think some commentator said every week it goes up at least 50K. Like,
Wouldn't
his
surprise.
pay.
To be honest, if the waiting, maybe this sounds ridiculous to say, But because I was pretty set on the fact that it was going to be a 2-year deal, the fact that it's not happening, like there's no announcement yet, I'm like, maybe it's going to be a longer deal. I don't know.
Imagine it's just like Naz for 7.
Oh,
and number
oh
7,
my God.
and number 7 for 7.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah. We're in dreamland now. Let's get
Yeah,
back to the
sorry.
question.
I want to stay in dreamland.
We've got a few to get through, so let's race through these. This is from Lenny. I don't know what Lenny is asking, but this is a mystery one. It's loading. Give it a sec.
Yeah.
Come on, Lenny.
Lenny Hayes, you star.
He was always a quiet man.
Hey boys, just a few thoughts regarding this TDK approach. So I'm perplexed that we're looking to fill a list hole that doesn't exist. We've got Rowe. I don't need to speak to that. He's been so good for us. He's only 29.
Let him speak.
He's no doubt got quite a few years left in his body. He's been so durable. So on that front, I don't understand why we're targeting a ruckman with huge capital. Then there's the fact that we've got 3 ruckmen toiling away every week in the VFL, including an 18-year-old in Dodson and a 22-year-old in Max Heath, neither of which have debuted yet. It's round 17 in the AFL. We've spent the entire year desperately struggling with a dysfunctional forward line that lacks tools, and yet they still haven't bothered to trial either of these guys. So I don't understand how it's possible to make an informed decision regarding this TDK approach when you don't even know what you've got on your own list. We don't know what these guys could be, and we're running out of time. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm just a bit confused. I don't really understand why we're spending this money on a guy like TDK when we already have that list position covered pretty well, and we don't really know how well, and we could certainly find other areas that need investment.
Well, I think you've answered your own question. You said we don't know what we have exactly, so let's get someone and then we'll know exactly what we have. Because, I mean, Max Gawn, who I would argue is the best ruckman in the competition, still thinks that TDK is going to take that mantle from him. And if you're able to acquire that without having to trade for it, I mean, we talked about this almost every week, it feels like, but you get him for nothing. You trade nothing for him. The contract is going to be so front-ended by the time we're actually going to need salary cap space to open up. The amount he's going to be earning in that year will be significantly less than these first couple. So you get him for free. Rowan Marshall's going to be 30 years old next year. You get a 26-year-old TDK that's going to be around when hopefully we're in the window. I think it's just an absolute no-brainer.
And who was we go back in history, we've thrown money around to a lot of players in the last 2 years to try and get them across.
Yep.
He is the best player that wants to come to the club. Who cares if he wants to come for the money right now?
Yeah.
We're trying to prize him out of one of the biggest clubs in the country that are willing to pay him over $1 million anyway.
Yeah.
We have to pay a premium.
They would pay him more if they had
We
room.
would have to pay a premium to any player, whether it's a Rao, a Merritt, anywhere, to prize them out of a club, to come to a club that's won one flag.
Yeah.
That's the reality. People need to, we wouldn't be able to pay less to get anyone. So
Yeah, bang on. And the thing I say about, as much as we do have Heath and Dodson in the seconds, and yes, we don't know what they do at AFL level, there's a chance that behind the scenes they have a good idea, and maybe there's a reason, right? In some regards, I think what I've seen of Dodson so far, I don't think he'd be particularly ready for AFL, at least not long stints.
Yeah.
And it makes me question, because I've seen matches where Dodson's got better numbers than Moose. So it makes me think, is Moose really ready?
Yeah.
And another thing that just occurred to me, say we sign Naz to 2 years. That's Naz saying, by midway through 2027, I want this club to be good.
Yes,
I want to know that
exactly
it's
right.
good. If we get TDK, do you think that's going to help us to convince someone like Naz to stay? That's going to make us look like more of a destination club, not just for players to come and play for us, but we're going to win more games because he's one of the best rucks in the comp.
Yeah.
And it's going to help entice Naz and Windy and Filippo and these players to want to sign beyond their current contracts.
Bang on.
No, absolutely. And it's like, he says Dodson, but it's like, okay, so we're just going to sit around for the next 4 years and
Well,
wait
that's
for
my point.
Dodson to develop.
Imagine we don't get TDK. Naz signs 2 years. We trial Dodson. We trial Heath. Rowe's aging. He's beyond it.
I mean,
and then Naz leaves.
I mean, imagine if, like, next year, right, Dodson, touch wood, whatever, hurts himself badly, doesn't quite become the player we ever want him to be, right? Then we've got a huge gap between Marshall at 30 and Heath at 22, who's untried.
Yeah.
I mean, we need somebody in between. We just do.
Yeah.
And Boyd, unfortunately, I don't think he's it.
Yeah.
No, and you're getting the 20... Like, people need to forget how... Like, I couldn't believe some of the comments on the weekend saying that TDK was shocking. I can't believe we're going to pay money. They played him forward. Do you know why they played him forward, Carlton? And they played Pitnet in the ruck? It's because they know they're pretty confident he's gone, and they're putting him forward. And TDK... He hasn't done that all year.
I'm reading nothing into TDK's current form line.
If we get him, I mean, I say if we get him, but I'm pretty confident we're getting the 2024 TDK. When he comes, he's going to be ready to go, and he's going to want to prove everyone wrong and justify that price.
And he knows that the pressure on his back is going to be insane. So he's going to want to, he's going to string.
He's already got enough pressure on his back playing for a big club.
I also think, like, TDK at this point, like, he can't really get himself hurt, or he jeopardizes his potential change in clubs. So
some people think that we've told him take it easy.
Well, I think his management would tell him that.
There could be some self-preservation there. Yeah.
He's not getting that.
not getting, like, not paying him what we've offered.
No.
Like, everything we've offered
It's
him
actually
has
a very
been
good call,
just a handshake, whisper deals. Nothing can be done before the end of the season. So, like, we could renege on things if he did his knee tomorrow, right? So he has to keep it safe, not hurt himself, get to St Kilda, get the contract. There's no way he'd be risking things.
Exactly.
Didn't think that. That's a great point.
Good. We just blasted that guy a bit, but good question. Thought-provoking.
There's a lot of St Kilda supporters. He's not alone. There's a lot of St Kilda supporters that are not sure.
I understand
just why we're doing it.
I understand the
if a player wants to come, and he's potentially going to be one of the best tall big men in the comp, and we just talked about how we don't have enough tall power around the ground to compete in the air.
Marks,
well, you're going to get him. You're going to try everything to get him.
Also, and quickly jumping in, it's been suggested we're paying like 95% by paying some of our players in advance, right? So if we do have that much sitting
it has to be
aside,
used.
It needs to be used for one. And if we're putting it towards TDK's contract, there's a fair chance he's not getting 1.7 mil a year. It's probably closer to what Carlton's offering anyway.
And the other question is, we've got all that money. Why don't we just give Naz 1.7?
You can do both.
Yeah.
You can do both. And also, like I said before, you got to pay a premium to prize players out of clubs. Right now, we are trying to retain a current player. So they're kind of... And also, money's not really Naz's driver right now. It is potentially the ability to go home at some point. So
maybe
different priorities. And success.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, let's rapid fire through these.
Yeah, let's go. Daryl.
G'day, boys. Really encouraging effort from the kids. Got to play more of them, and I really think that this week we need to have either Heath or Boyd or Dobson in as the first ruck, play Rowan up forward, because if TDK comes, that's where he's going to be. So give us a marking target. We didn't have one on Saturday night, and it was very frustrating. Move Rowan forward and bring one of the other ruckmen in to replace Keeler, who just is not competitive, I'm afraid. Thank you, boys.
Preaching to the choir.
Yeah, we agree with you, Daryl. I swear at the start there, I thought that was Alan Richardson talking. No offense, Daryl, but
it's pleasing.
Just got that tone about him. All right, Tiffany.
Hi, Jake, Ari and Sammy. Disappointing loss yet again, but we had some good things to look at and to look forward to for our future. But I'm just concerned about our forward line next year. Hopefully Max King can get his body right, but if he can't, what's our plan B, C, D for a key target up forward? All these top 8 teams seem to have a key forward who is the man, who is the guy to kick to. Who's tall and can outbody other players, and Sharman and Owens just aren't up to that. Without King, who's going to be our man in our forward line? That is our goal. Again, hoping Max can get his body right, but we just can't, unfortunately, rely on that. Anyways, would love your thoughts. Thanks for the pod.
Good question.
Sure,
Good question.
I think targeting Lee Kalir is a good start because then you can potentially move a Taru, someone else. I wouldn't touch Hammer, but you can move someone. But yeah, I'd be looking at that. In the draft, I know key position players take a while to blossom, I guess, but even still, and then, yeah, trade targets if there's someone we can get. And like, Daryl said in the previous call, if you can get Marshall play forward potentially, there's all sorts of levers we can pull there.
Look at the team on top of the ladder. They don't have an out-and-out superstar forward.
I mean,
they
Tim
have just
Embry
a lot.
plays for him.
Yeah, but he's not.
Whoa.
He's 6'4". He's 6'4". Taru jumps higher than him and he's the same size.
He's one of he's kind of their stock standard forward.
Yeah, but he's not your superstar full forward. I think that's what Tiffany's kind of referring to.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of the medium sized that are just very good. But Collingwood's game is built on delivery and leads. It's very different. So, yeah, I think it'd be handy to have a backup to King, but I think we can kick goals without him. It's just connection and delivery, I think. More so than anything.
Definitely.
This is from Janko.
Your show's great, mate. Just be upfront, and what's your opinion on this, the Conning saga, speculation, whatever you want to call it? Will you be happy with him at your club at that price? Really? Be honest. Thank you.
Wasn't sure when
This feels like a Carlton question, to be honest.
Yes, Janko. I will be absolutely stoked to see him in the red, white and black next year.
Yeah, likewise.
That's all I need to say.
For sure.
Jack, up next.
Hey, boys. My question for this week's podcast is just in regards to Jimmy Webster. Obviously, unfortunate that he happened to his calf pretty on early in the game, and Ross confirmed that at the press conference after the match. Do you possibly reckon that's probably the last time we see him in the red, white and black, or even just at all? And obviously he's a cult figure at the club and everyone loves Jimmy, and he puts his heart into every single game 100% all the time. But I know the plan that the coach and the list managers have been doing is sort of, getting rid of those older players who are on those short sort of term contracts like Membry last year and Seb Ross as well. So if it's a bad calf and Jimmy's out for the rest of the season, there's a possibility we might have seen him in his last game for the club, do you think?
I mean, that's kind of, I didn't really think about it, but it's upsetting to think about.
Yeah,
I would hope that we would give him a farewell game if he was able to get healthy by the end of the year. I don't want to write him off, like maybe he's got another year in him with us or someone else, but yeah, definitely a fan favourite. Would love to see him play one more game.
I feel like he's got 1 year left if he wants, and I think we probably do want him for a year. I mean, Liam O'Connell's made some great strides this year. Not sure McLennan. We'll see how that goes. Stocker's been injured here and there. We just don't seem to have a lot of cattle in that position. Yeah. So I think Jimmy might get 1 more year.
Fingers crossed. Let's see what the medical report comes through. But yeah, fingers crossed it's okay. This is Charlie.
Hey, gents. Big fan of the show. Listen every week religiously. I've asked the same question every week, is when is Max Heath going to get a game? 21 touches, 26 hit-outs and a goal in the twos, and on the weekend, Isaac Keeler, or the one disposal. Surely it's a... What do you reckon?
What's his name?
Charlie.
Charlie. If it was up to me, I would make that change right now. Keeler.
Ari's going to do that for his predicted. That's the one change he's going to make.
For sure.
So, Charlie, you'll get your wish. This is, we've got 3 more. Let's go through it. Chad. Not
Boys,
a forward
they
line,
say
hopefully.
that life is short. You're going to make the most of every day. Stuff that. I hope the next 6 months absolutely flies by, because the 2026 season for the St Kilda Football Club is looking bright. And I reckon the commentary is going to sound a little like this. De Koning taps it down to Philippou. Hands off to the dash of Wanganeen Malira coming off the half-back line. He laces out Rowan Marshall coming out from centre half forward. Hands off to the flying Viking Taru. Spots Max King in the pocket. Then he takes a towering mark. Goes back to take his kick. Hands off to Max Hall. Snaps around the corner. Goal! The St Kilda Football Club season is off and running. Thanks, boys.
Love it.
It sounds like
it's the best call we've ever
who's
had.
that Fox Footy commentator? Is it Triple M? He's got the really deep voice. What's his name? Speed?
Don't listen to any
Something
Triple M.
Speed?
Brenton Speed.
Brenton Speed. I think it's him. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of him. So.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Jad. This is we've got Julia and Vince to close us out. If Julia's loads. Yep.
Hey boys, I just like to start off saying this podcast is awesome. It's my highlight of my week every single week.
Thanks, Julia.
And I love all the hard work that goes in this, so keep being amazing, boys. My first statement is, how good is Tyru's mark? How good was that seeing that during the game? Oh my God, I loved it. That just brought like Trevor Barker highlights. So my first question is about Marshall. Apparently people are saying that he hasn't been performing lately. And that might be a bit true. So I was wanting to get your thoughts. Do you think we probably need Max Heath or someone to come in the ruck so then we can put Marshall forward so then he can kick like 4 goals or like 3 goals? That would probably help us. I would highlight what your thoughts. And my one is about Naz. Do you boys think he'll sign? Because I think it's like coming down to like the last few weeks and he still hasn't signed and people are saying that he wants out of the club. Do you boys agree with this or do you guys not? Do you think he'll sign with us? Hopefully. And yeah. And keep pushing Tyru. Cheers, boys.
Thanks, Julia.
Thank you very much for that.
There's a running theme here.
I think we know what people want this week, and that is for another ruck debutant, I think, and for Naz to sign. So I think maybe we'll get one of those this week. Maybe.
Both. Let's get both. I just want both. I want it all done. I want Heath. I want it all done. I want
Naz to just post like a very vague selfie on Instagram stories with TDK. Yeah. Just a very random
I'd love it
road,
to be like a
Saturday 2 a.m. at the just a.
I'd love to see like a Selly like kicks a goal, just walks up to like goes like that up to a door and like key, like just something like I like it's locked, I want something where he makes
Naz?
it obvious. Yeah.
I want Naz to kick a goal, pull out the pen and sign the camera on it.
Yeah, legit Wimbledon style. Yeah, that'd be sick.
That's probably the coolest way anyone's ever signed a contract. If he does that,
or he kicks a goal and then he takes the Guernsey off and it's got it written on another T-shirt. 2 years.
2
anyway,
more years.
We'll go
Big
Vince from Tassie to close us out. Thanks everyone for sending these in. It's been a lot of fun.
Let's go, Vince.
Definitely.
Hi, Jake and the boys. Thank you for the pod, for all us Saints supporters. Really appreciate it. Look, I just wanted to say that if I see one more message from Saints supporters not wanting TDK, honestly, I think I will spew because, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean we have to trade out Rowan Marshall. I mean, Rowan and Paddy Ryder work brilliantly together, and I can see this combination working as well. And on another quick issue, what do you think about against the Swans dropping Mason Wood and Sharman in the back line and bringing in Rowan Schoenmakers at centre half forward and dropping or moving Alex Tyru also in the forward line? We need big marking forwards who hopefully can convert. So for the next few weeks, I can't see any other reason why we can't have 2 high-marking forwards down there that at least give us a target. Be interested to see what you think. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Vince.
Yeah, I rate the TDK call. And, what do you think of his other statements around selection? Because Mason Wood, he has been out of form, which has been, unlike him, the last few years been really good for us. But since he's been back from that concussion, he's been iffy.
Yeah, he's not clunking him on the wing as much.
Yeah.
And... he doesn't look as confident in front of the goals anymore either. So it's a tough one with Mason because I think he offers a lot, but he's clearly not doing enough. And look, Ari, I've wanted Ari Schoenmaker in all year. I want to see that kick going forward, so I definitely agree with that statement.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we've got opportunity to experiment in the next 6-7 weeks. I think Ross is very aware of the fact that our forward line is not connecting and not working. So it wouldn't surprise me if we, like, I would be amazed if we didn't see Taru have one game dedicated full forward, just jumping at everything and having some fun at the back end of the year. Maybe that's against a Richmond, maybe it's against a North. It could be against an undersized defence, just to see how it goes. I wouldn't mind seeing it this week against Sydney, which is the game we'll talk about right now.
For sure.
But yeah, Ari, there's opportunities there. That's the exciting thing. There's still, we've uncovered a lot this year with a lot of youngsters and switching up the magnets, but I feel like there's still so much to uncover from the VFL still, and see where some players lie going into next season. But Sydney next, so should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Sunday, 3:15 at Marvel. Interesting.
We're due,
one.
baby.
Oh,
I'm jumping right in. We're getting this done. We're getting this done.
We're overdue.
We're overdue.
Yeah, definitely.
No, for sure.
Past our use-by date. Yeah. We're off at the moment.
I mean, Sydney coming off a pretty decent win against the Dockers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they're going to lose Papley. Unfortunately for them, but fortunately for us.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
He seems like one of those kind of saint killers that would terrorise us a little bit. So
absolutely.
It's a bonus for us, I guess. But yeah, no, like I said, in terms of selection, we want to see a shake-up. We discussed that pretty thoroughly already. The game itself, I mean, they've been pretty injury ravaged all year. I think they're better than their ladder position indicates. This is a tougher game than probably some fans might think it is. So definitely got to bring like the same effort, intensity we had against Freo, against Hawthorn, but the execution has got to be there, especially going inside 50.
They're apparently the worst team kicking inside 50 in the comp, Sydney.
They are, okay.
But they have been without Goulden for a long time, and he is one of the best kicks in the league, so no doubt that's going to improve with his return. Chad Warner, Heaney. They don't have a great forward line, but they've got so many goal-kicking mids. Yeah, that's definitely where they make up the difference.
Definitely. I think it's a really good test for because I actually wouldn't change much going into from our forward line going into this week.
Okay, yeah.
Mostly because I don't think Sydney's really got tall defenders. Like, nothing really great.
Yeah.
So I'd give the Sharman and boys up there one more shot. Before maybe switching to Roo down there, getting Ari in, trying to really pull some changes. So, I'd give them one more shot. I don't think their movement out of defence is all that whiz-bang, apart from, say, the Lizard, that sort of thing. So, a little bit of pressure, keeping them accountable, maybe Max Hall try to get up the ground, that sort of thing, and I think it's very winnable.
Yeah, I agree too. I think if we at least maintain what we've been doing for the last 3 weeks, I think we'll absolutely be in this game.
Yeah, agreed.
We beat them there last year, and they were top at the time. They are chasing a top 8 spot, though.
Yeah, they're
hungry. Going to do everything. It's like Hawthorn. They were chasing a top 4 spot when we played them. In 2 weeks' time, we're playing Geelong, who are chasing a top 2, top 3 spot.
Yep.
Every team we play has got something on the line, at least in the last 5-6 weeks we've had.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new to us, I think, which is good. We haven't had a game to relax in the last 5. Well, actually, probably before the Melbourne game, really. West Coast, and we lost that one.
Yeah.
So,
it seems crazy to think, but outside of when we won 3 games in a row at the start of the year.
This
is our best patch of form, and we haven't won a game yet. So it's
crazy to think.
We said a lot at the start of the year. The gap between our best and our worst is just bigger than anyone else's in the comp.
Is it bridging now though?
But that's what I was going to say. It feels weird to say because we haven't won, but we have actually been playing consistently decent footy. If we can just keep building on that, I'd be very happy to close out the year that way. But you got to get a few wins along the way, and this is a winnable one. So yeah.
Yeah, no, we've been building well. I mean, if we think back to things that we've noted that need to improve, like clearances, we've started to see that. Yeah. Even this week, inside 50s are up. We're not using it well, but they're up. I think the club's aware of what's wrong and doing their best to address it. And obviously these things aren't quick fixes. So we've got a rest of the year to figure out what we can do, and it starts this weekend. See if we can get the job done.
Yeah, I'm excited. Sunday. I think our next 4 weeks are Sundays.
Yes.
Going into early August. So get used to it, Saners. Well,
we are used to it. Don't worry about that.
But yeah, I can't wait for Sunday. It's a weird thing to have. We've lost 4 in a row, but I'm so pumped to go to the. We said it last week and the week before. Yeah. Get ready. This is the journey we're on now. It's good to know where we're at. And know there is light at the end of the tunnel
for sure.
With what we've been doing.
What people were a bit upset with earlier in the year as well, when it was kind of like we want to see the best of St Kilda, and we're not seeing what we think will be that in a couple of years' time. So it's that asking the kids to play and all that sort of jazz. So yeah, good movement.
Yeah,
definitely.
Should be good.
Let's get it done. Until then, up the mighty Sainers. Talk
Go
next
Saints.
week.
See you next week, Sainers. Go Saints.
Cheers.